All right, good evening. Welcome to the June 5th, 2023 meeting of the Marshfield Planning Board. The time is now 7:01 p.m. Tonight's meeting is being recorded by MCTV, and we are holding a live remote meeting via Zoom. Tonight, our members here are Katie O'Donnell is absent, Nick Papastratis, Fred Monaco, Kevin Cantwell, and I'm Mike Viviano, the chair. Also absent is our associate member, Scott DeCastro. With us tonight is Karen Horn, our assistant town planner. Greg Guimond will not be on the meeting tonight. At this time, I'll make a motion. We open tonight's public meeting and waive the reading of the notice. Is there a second?
I second the motion. Fred Monaco, second.
Fred, Nick?
Nick Papastratis, aye.
Fred?
Fred Monaco, aye.
Kevin?
Kevin Cantwell, aye.
And Mike Viviano, aye. All right, first on the agenda tonight was going to be a special permit hearing for 937 Webster Street. We're going to, that needs to be opened, right, Karen? That's never been opened. Has that ever been opened?
It has not been opened yet. You can you could just continue it and open it next time.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion. The applicant requested that we continue that. So I'll make a motion that we continue that hearing until 6/26/23 at 7:05 p.m. Is there a second?
Second, Fred Monaco.
Nick?
Nick Papastratis, aye.
Fred?
Fred Monaco, aye.
Kevin?
Kevin Cantwell, aye.
And Mike Viviano, aye. All right, that Webster Street's continued until 2/26. I'm going to skip over the draft economic plan for a minute. We're going to go to the 2-year extension for a resource. Is it Resource Way?
Yeah,
Okay.
the subdivision.
Yeah, is anyone here for that? If not, Karen, you want to explain it?
Oh, Chrissy McDougal is here, but basically they sent in a request that they've just been a little behind. They haven't gotten started yet, or they started the roadway construction, but they just wanted to make sure they had an extension for the subdivision.
Okay.
So you can grant a 2-year extension from, I think, I'd have to look up the decision, but I think it expires this summer.
All right, is that a special permit?
No, it was just a subdivision.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
Nope.
All right, seeing none, I'll make a
Nope.
motion that we extend the permit for Resource Way 2 years from the date that it was going to expire. So that extension doesn't start until the summer, whatever that date is. Karen will figure it out. Is there a second?
Second, Fred Monaco.
Nick?
Nick Papastratis, aye.
Fred?
Kevin Cantwell, aye.
Fred?
Fred Monaco, aye.
And Mike Viviano, aye. Okay, so that's all set for another 2 years. Thank you. Oh, there's
Great.
Katie. Hi,
Thanks,
Katie.
guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chrissy.
Sure.
All right, we're going to move on to the lot release for 26Q. That's out behind Roche Brothers. I think that's Mike's lot, right?
Yes.
Okay. Anything to say about it, Mike?
Well, Karen, I think you've had some conversation with Paul Armstrong today.
Yes, this is the lot, it's on the corner of Commerce and Progress as part of the modification we did for the Progress Way subdivision. And to release that lot, they needed to put up some traffic mitigation money. I've talked to Paul. He says in that building, he's only gonna have, it will just be him and his son who occasionally go there and move the equipment in or out. So it seemed like after talking to him that it's about 4 peak trips at night. And the mitigation at $630 per trip. They would need to give us $2,520 towards the traffic mitigation fund. And then we can release the lot. But we'd also, you guys need to come in and sign the.
Okay, that's fine. Any questions from the board at all?
No.
No.
Okay, seeing none, I'll make a motion that we release lot 26Q pending receiving the money for the traffic mitigation. Is there a second?
Second, Fred Monaco.
Okay, Katie?
Katie O'Donnell, aye.
Nick Papastratis, aye.
Fred?
Fred Monaco, aye.
Kevin?
Kevin Cantwell, aye.
And Mike Viviano, aye. Okay, thank you.
Karen, I'll make sure that that check gets to you tomorrow.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Okay.
And it'll take a couple of days for the board to
Yep.
sign it.
No worries.
All right, thank you.
All good. Thank you.
All right, now we can go back up and we're gonna listen to MAP's, who is it?
It's MAPC with the economic
Josh. Yep.
development
Hey,
presentation.
Josh, how are you?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you.
Good. We'll let you take it away for your 5-minute presentation.
Thank you so much.
welcome.
Could I have the sharing of screen ability, Karen?
Oh, yeah. Hold on a second. No, but now it's a minute. How do I do this again?
I think if you make me a co-host, that should do the trick.
Yes, I don't. All right, I need to.
Find my name and the participants. You can go on.
Yes, that's what I need to find. Okay. All right, does that work?
Excellent. Thank you so much. Good evening, board. Thank you again for allowing me the 5 minutes or a little bit more this evening to present to you. If you recall, about a year ago from now, we started this process with you all and had an initial presentation to the planning board to kick off the economic development plan for Marshfield, which is also a part of the town's continuing efforts to update the master plan and get that current. So this is sort of a 2-in-1 deal, and we're happy to report that there's been excellent progress and participation in the intervening year. And we now have a draft plan, which we're presenting this evening, which will also open a public comment period for that planning process. So just got a very brief presentation for you this evening. I'll try to keep it as quick as possible, basically to walk you through that draft document and give you an orientation to it. So without further ado, here is the document, and I'm not walking through the document literally, but just kind of giving you some snapshots in this presentation. In this case, you can see the cover image and the contents. So the contents we had presented over the course of the study, and that includes a overview and data analysis based upon Marshfield's current economy, its workforce, some reflection on the current land use and zoning standards and regulations, a recap of the community input, which was gathered throughout that years-long process through community meetings and surveys and the like, and then a real focus on the recommendations of that effort, combining all of those pieces together. So that's what is in the report. The report starts off again with a reiteration of our focus for the study, which was on the non-residential districts of the town, which you can see highlighted on this figure on the screen, the areas in blue, which coalesce along Route 139 as you head across the town east to west. And so really focusing on those B districts, the business districts throughout the town, whether those be downtown and Brant Rock or Enterprise Drive area primarily. So just to give you a snapshot of the types of things that are in that data analysis. So this was a figure regarding the concentration of employment across the town. And you can see those concentrations do follow the map, which I just showed you in, the concentration around the Enterprise Drive area and Commerce Way area is very strong, of course. The cluster in downtown is also strong. And then you see another cluster along the coast and the Brant Rock and kind of heading down towards the Green Harbor area. Another sample of some of the data that's in this data-rich report, some historical and projected population growth over the previous decades and projecting forward as well, comparing that to some of your neighboring municipalities, some facts and figures about the household composition in the town. So all of this is providing a background and basis for the recommendations and is also just an interesting current slice of the demographics of the town as well. Also taking a look and accounting for all of the current zoning districts and reflecting upon their characteristics relative to the economic development goals which were developed, looking at both the underlying zones and the overlay zones. I would remark overall, I think that the town zoning is actually in a pretty good state presently, and the planning board and the planning department have been doing an excellent job keeping on top of recommendations over the years and advancing the zoning towards best practices. So I give a kudos in that regard. In terms of the community input, I know that the planning board members have been involved in along the way, and I thank you all for your efforts outside of your own meetings. We did have a few hybrid sessions, so sessions that were hosted both in person and remotely via Zoom. We also had some additional sessions which were hosted by the planning department staff, with Greg Guimond leading the charge on 2 in-person sessions at the Council on Aging, one focused on downtown and Brant Rock, and another focused around the Enterprise Park Drive area. And then we have the online community surveys, which complemented that suite of meetings. And then we've also, of course, as you all recall, been in front of the planning board a few times just to give you updates and keep you aware of the progress. Across all meetings and surveys, of course, we have had people who have joined us for each of these sessions. So this is a little bit of double or triple counting, but we have had 800 participants. If you take all the participation in the meetings, participation in the surveys and the like, there's been 800, maybe we'll call them engagement points, where we've had people touch with this process. So I think that's a pretty solid foundation for what we're working with. Just a sample of the types of input we've gathered. One of the questions we asked in some of those meetings and surveys was, what is most important for the future of the economy in Marshfield? And the top answers which came back were the business districts, which is kind of an obvious one, but I think that's important to realize, an important grounding point, that the town likes where it's at in terms of its current centers of business activity, and there's not sort of some ambition for creating some new district somewhere or else. So while it seems obvious, I think that's a good checkpoint and a foundational aspect of what the residents would like to see. And then the other aspect of the town's sort of draw and economic atmosphere in makeup is a natural resource, the town's beaches, and people really see that as a major reason why they identify and move to the town, or really like to be a part of the town, and draw for visitors as well. And that's sometimes, for some residents, a little bit of a double-edged sword, but I think that the beaches are an important aspect of the local economy. We also asked questions as we moved along through the process. We did present the draft economic development goals back earlier towards the end of the winter, I believe that was, and asked if how close this initial set of goals was, in their opinion, to achieve what they'd like to see happen in Marshfield. And 66% of people thought that that initial set of goals was either very close or close to what they'd like to see. So from that point to what you see this evening in the draft report, we have taken the feedback received and polished up and refined the initial goals and the strategies in more detail, which fall underneath those goals, in the hope that, I think what we've hopefully done is move even further along in terms of the people that would be supportive of what the plan is saying, moving even higher than that 66%, which I think is a good marker. Of course, that's the sort of town meeting measure of getting that 2/3 majority vote. Here's I know there's a lot of words on this slide, but I'll talk through them a little bit. There's 10 goals overall. So these are the goals which are represented in the draft plan. They are focused on the areas which you might think, with the focus being the business districts. So goal number 1 is relating to downtown. So continuing to strengthen a vibrant and walkable mixed-use downtown, which the town has been doing, but I think remains a priority for the town and for the residents, and looking at ways to have transformative redevelopment, inviting public realm improvements, and thriving small businesses there that are locally based. Strengthening the resilience, sense of community, and attractiveness of Brant Rock. The Brant Rock Esplanade is goal number 2, and that showed up loud and clear as a priority for residents as well. Continuing to encourage and guide private development of the industrial park and mixed-use development areas to evolve into an attractive center of activity, and that's continuation of efforts which have been underway for some time as well. And then hopefully with a notion toward building the commercial tax base and continuing to do that. We did hear some concern about the dependence on single-family home tax revenues, so that's tied into that goal as well. Preserving the town's coastal character, that ties to one of those two top priorities I just mentioned. That includes the beaches, the natural environments, the coastal waterways, the coastal destinations and amenities, including open spaces which people access. All of that is a part of what attracts residents and visitors to the town, and where local spending can be tied to as those visitors arrive to use those resources. Preserving and enhancing the town's residential character. I think this was an important point too, because people primarily still identify Marshfield as a residential community, and that's what they like about it, that character and the welcoming and inviting nature of the community. So there's not, major transformation outside of those business districts that's desired. Maintaining the fiscal strength of the town through effective governance, proactive planning, and transparent communication. There are some aspects of improving the transparency of communication, which we've built into this plan, which we heard some feedback about. Sustaining measured investment in the town's infrastructure. Again, this is a continued effort. The town has been doing this, but still needs to be doing it in the future to meet the needs of residents and businesses, and to enhance environmental sustainability as that's completed. I guess continued, I don't think that can ever be completed per se. It will be an effort which continues for forever. The next goal is to continue to improve traffic and circulation. There is a lot of dependence on Route 139 in and out of town, and that's a sort of a fundamental aspect of the transportation. We've looked at some alternatives, but there's not like too many opportunities to build a parallel route, for example. But looking at ways to perhaps get people out of the car a little bit and think about connections that can be enhanced through walking or biking would be some of the ideas which show up as strategies under this goal. And really thinking about convenient travel as a way to support and enhance economic activity in the town. And that congestion is also restricting economic patterns as well, not just traffic. Goal number 9 is about the continuing to support the maritime industries as an important feature of the local economy. So that's at the town pier primarily, but other the Green Harbor marinas and other marinas as well, which are an important part, again, of that coastal identity and character of the community. And then the last goal here is to leverage really the assets of the fairgrounds and the important annual events that are occurring there. And again, we're hearing concerns about the influx of visitors and traffic that's occurring during those events, but it's also an opportunity to push some of those visitors more toward the local businesses and making sure that everyone locally is benefiting from that influx of visitors and potentially locally spent dollars. So that's the overall set of goals. Each of those goals is given treatment with more detail in terms of strategies that fall underneath the goals and ideas for the town to really push forward in terms of advancing those goals. And then even beyond that, each goal and strategy is given an action or series of actions with a suggested potential responsible party, timeframe, and some resources that might be available to think about those types of things. So I'll just maybe use the example that is on your screen and talk about, so continuing, this is from the first goal, continuing to strengthen a vibrant and walkable mixed-use downtown with thriving businesses, transformative redevelopment, and inviting public realm opportunity improvements. The strategy is to target high-impact public realm beautification and streetscape improvements to improve accessibility, walkability, and bikeability in and around downtown. And the one of the examples of implementation there and first step is the town has been working on a complete streets priority plan. So continuing the implementation of those complete streets priorities to check off some of the implementation activities that are related to the downtown area. And that would be an effort by both the Public Works and Planning Department, and would include potentially some Mass DOT complete streets funding, which is a funding stream connected to that program. So that gives you an example of the type of detail that flows through for each of the goals, and I think gives the town, hopefully, the way I like to think about these types of planning efforts is these aren't mandates. The town isn't required to do any of these things, but if you need ideas to actually move any of these goals forward, these are giving you enough concrete specifics to be able to do that. But of course, there's a lot in here, and it's not, this isn't the type of document that says this is a mandate or requirement to the town, but it's really giving the town the tools that you may need to push these various priorities forward. Just very briefly, in terms of next steps, we're presenting the summary of this plan this evening to you all. It has been posted on the town's planning department webpage and is now available for a public comment period. And the planning department hopes to keep that, or will keep that, not hopes to, we will keep that comment period open through June 30th and through the end of this month. Then the plan is to collect any edits or suggestions that we receive from whoever would like to give us them, and we'll take a look at those with the planning department with an eye towards how we should review or how we should integrate those items potentially into the draft plan to finalize the plan. And then we'll be bringing that back to you all, I think potentially with a tentative idea of having a planning board vote on that later in July. So that's, I'm happy to answer any questions that you all might have, but I tried to keep that to the 5 minutes.
Yeah, thank you, Josh. You, well, a little over, but that's okay. Thank you for the presentation. Any board or staff comments at all? Questions? Okay, right now, seeing not anyone from the public, you have any questions? Is anyone here for this? Okay, seeing none for that. Josh, any final comments?
Just a note of appreciation that I appreciate the planning board and planning department's support in this process and the effort of the town through your hard work to look forward to the town's future.
Yeah, thank you very much for the presentation, and we'll look forward to the next steps.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's see. Are there any minutes, Karen?
No, there aren't any at this time.
Okay. Any staff report?
There's another beach nourishment meeting, a joint meeting with Woods Hole and Duxbury on June 14th, if anyone's interested. I did sign off on the building permit for 22 Adelaide. They got the erosion control put in based on the special permit modification we did. I still need another signature for that from either Katie or Mike. It's
Yeah, I
a
can
special
stop in
permit.
tomorrow. I gotta go to town hall anyway, so I'll stop in.
Okay.
Yep.
And we're gonna need the signatures for the Form E, so I need to get a couple people, well, at least 3 people, I think, for that.
Okay.
I think that's it.
All right, great. Anything from any of the board members? Okay, seeing none, thank you for attending tonight. I'll make a motion that we close tonight's public hearing. Is there a second?
Second, Katie O'Donnell. Aye, Katie O'Donnell.
Thank you, Katie. Fred? Where did Fred go? Fred's muted. We'll get Fred in a minute.
Fred Monaco, aye.
Thank you, Fred. Nick?
Nick Papastratis, aye.
Kevin?
Kevin Cantwell, aye.
And Mike Viviano, aye. All right, that concludes tonight's meeting. Thank you.
Thanks,
All
everyone.
right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.